Good afternoon, everybody. DJ Styles here at Custom Corpses. Okay, like I promised, I'm going to start working on the ear today. With a tutorial on fixing the ear. And you can see it's pretty damaged. But I got to turn this thing and make sure it's in camera shot. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is all raked. I have to redo this whole thing. No doubt. So, with that being said, there's a lot that has to be done. You can see how screwed up it is, that's for sure. Now, I want to also put my light on it at a distance, because just enough to take the shadows. I don't want the shadows in there too deeply. There you go. How's that look on camera? Yeah, there's a little more definition there, so you can see where I have to fix underneath the earlobe. You see all that stuff that's stuck underneath there? I got to get all that out of there. Give me a sec here. It ain't easy trying to get the camera angles and everything. This is the worst part about the whole thing, is getting the camera angles so you get to see everything that I'm doing. And I still have to be able to see everything in detail of what I'm doing. So the first thing is I need something strong to dig this stuff out of here. I don't care that I take away a little of the clay, as long as I don't have any of that mortar mixed in with the clay. I don't want that in the sculpture at all. Yeah, this all has to be repaired. All smoothed out again. Now, I have a picture of a screen used ear shot of the original mask. Hopefully I'm not in frame. I don't want my fat body in frame. All right, so I need to just want to make sure I get all this mortar off of here. I can smooth it out later. Just got to make sure it's out off the clay. You don't want that stuff on the clay. Now, like I said in the previous videos, each time I fix something like this, it's never exact. You're never going to get it back to the exact thing you had prior to sculpting, which is fine with me. I'm not shooting for exact on anything, because nobody's exact. If we were exact, there'd be one mask out there only, and nobody would have their rendition of the Michael Myers mask, because everybody has just a little bit variations. I gotta make sure I get all this stuff out of here. Yeah, I'll smooth all that back out. I just gotta make sure I get all the stone out of here before I start fixing the ear. See that? I just tore out a piece of that stone that was embedded in there. Well, that's going to come out. That's the way that rolls. That's what happens when you're dealing with the mortar. But I can't have any mortar on here before I start fixing this. And it just pops out of there pretty easy. Yes, sir. my focus is the ear today, and then I'll do all the little, then I'll work on the head. I'm going to do this side of the ear, then I'm going to work on the other side, but I'm not going to put that on camera. I'm just going to do this side for the camera for purposes so you guys can see. Now here's another little trick I've learned. I can take a little of this. Yeah, see, now I got to fix all this in here. This is a mess. It's got to be smoothed out. Put a little naphtha on my brush, and that'll wipe out some of this. That'll take out the stone. It just softens the very outer edge of the mortar. I've already fixed this. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to that'll work even better. I like that. It gave it a little hole. This is smoothing it out a little bit. This is also cleaning it up a little bit. You know, there's a lot that has to be done to this because a lot of damage took place, and I want to make sure I got all the stone out from behind the ear. That's for sure. Because if you have any of that left over, you're going to have an issue when you go to put the clay back together. And you don't want to have to, see, I still got a little bit up in here. I'm just taking my putty knife and just scrape it out a little bit. Just so it comes out. Yes, you're scratching the clay, who cares? Even have to dig a hole in it once in a while to get that stuff out of there because it gets embedded in the clay. But now it's time to shape. All right, got my flat piece here. I might as well clean this up here because I softened the clay. I don't even want to use that because it's got dirty crap in it, so I won't put that back into my clean ball of clay over here. No, 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 no. You know, you don't want any of this mortar mixed in with your clean clay at all. So, with that being said, let me get my brush again. Oops, wrong brush. Yeah, there's damage that has to be fixed, that's for sure. And this softens the very outer edge of the clay. It doesn't go very deep. It's just actually the only thing I really use this for is texture and cleaning off like the clay surface. That's basically it. Now, the tough part, because of how destroyed this piece got. The big thing is what I'm doing is I'm shaping it back to what it was first. And you're gonna see this doesn't take that long. It's pretty awesome. Now this got literally pulled forward. This crease comes down here. It's not way up here like that. So what I have to do, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let's work on the ear itself first. I gotta push this way back down the way it was. Okay. Just making sure the shape is right. I'm looking at the picture. I can show you. Well, I don't want to move that. I'm not going to move that. I'm going to keep this in frame for now. I'll show you the picture later. Yeah, I got to really round this back up to where it was. This literally is coming off the clay. So I've got to smooth this back in. The first thing I got to do here is I got to scrape that off. I got to get this back to normal. See how that got all pushed out? I'm going to take all that stuff off of there that's high. I'll smooth it out once I get the pieces back to the way they were. Got to get the earlobe right. Got to push that back into play. Yeah, right now I'm trying to push it all back into the face the way it's supposed to be. How far down is that? Most of this is done by my hands right now. Just trying to get the shapes back to the way they were. And there's still a lot that has to be taken away and added to, so to speak. Yeah, I got to put the earlobe back in. I got to fill this all in here so I can put the ear hole back the way it was. But you can already see it's coming back to form. Now this is my clean ball clay that I always work from. And I'm gonna push that into here all the way in so it's flush to where the hole is. And then I will force this back in. To where the hole is. Oh yeah, I got my work to do. That really pulled that hole, this little angled piece. That's supposed to be like right in here. Yeah, I have to fix that. Okay. So, no big deal. The earlobe looks a little bit too elongated. Yeah, I've got to make sure that this earlobe is back this way. All right, so I don't want this earlobe that far forward. Most of this is just work with the material that you already have on the sculpture. You don't want to keep adding stuff because you already have everything that's there is what you need actually. Now I'm going to pull this back. I'm trying to deform the top of that. And pull that up underneath the chin, underneath the ear, I mean. So I'm looking at a picture that you're not seeing. That's how I'm getting the right look on this thing. Now, I'm sure this ear is probably not going to, yeah, see how much nicer that looks now? It's more even. It's not all the way out here. All right. I've got a lot of smoothing out there to do, especially up in here. Yeah, there's work to do. The ear cut's not right. But we'll get there. We will get there. I'm almost ready for tools already. Almost ready for tools. But I also have to see, I don't want to put that little air clef, you want to call that. It's kind of blocking the eardrum. It sits there like that. I don't want to put that there until I get all this smoothed out. Learn some valuable lessons on doing that before, you put that there and it just interferes with you. You can't get the shapes perfect. You don't want it to, it just gets in the way. So when you're doing your ears, you want to make sure that you're not doing anything that will cause problems with your shaping. All right, so let me see. Let me take a look at that. Yeah, this has got to come back further here. That is an issue. So what I did is I'm pushing this back further, rounding that out a little bit better. And this is going to come from here down to here as a peak, and that's simple. Let me show you how easy this is to do. I'm going to find my scraper, the one I use for this, and that's just a matter of changing that angle by pulling this down like that. Remember not to go too deep. You don't want to make the hole in your ear go deeper than the skull. So you want to make sure that you get your angle right without screwing up your depth. So just keep in mind when you're working with the clay and you're working for, digging away your angles and stuff, you want to make sure that I'm going to smooth this out a little better. Yeah, I actually think that I didn't have this ear correct the first time around, but that's all right. You know what? There's a little variation in everything we do. Now that I see this shot of this picture. Looking good, baby. I think I'm going to have to push this earlobe down just a little bit more to give it a little bit length down this way. We want it to come down a little more like an earlobe. Yeah, now we're talking. All right, just put you down. Where'd I put you? There you go. Now when I push that clay back, I created a little bit of a lip here. Now on this, I'm looking at the picture. It literally looks like it's love sculpting, I really do. I'm just getting the big bulk of the issues that we were having, getting at and reshaping the ear completely. And then I'll be putting in the fine detail, and I'm scraping into the corner here. That'll get fixed too. This is still a ways off from being done, but not too far off. Not as far away as you think. It's not going to be an all-day process here. Trust me, it's not going to take long to get this where I want it. I'm dropping this high spot back where it's supposed to be. You know what, this I'm going to have to do a little bit different, because I want to make the dividing line just a little bit weirder. And all I'm going to do is make a worm out of clay. If you guys don't know what a worm is, we're making a worm. Not too long, because I got to make it. I'm just trying to put it at the right angle of where I want to be. The spot at the top of the ear is right. It's just right in here is wrong. So we're creating a new high spot. And smoothing it down by hand. See that? I just changed that angle, just where it needed to be. Now, I've got a loop tool here that I want to bring in. Yeah, no, that's not that's not what I want. Okay. I'm looking at the picture. Bottom part is the lobe itself. It looks really sharp of what I'm doing here. Believe me, it gets smoothed out so you won't even notice the subtle shaping. I'm already starting to do that fast. It comes into shape pretty quick. It really does. The reason why I like to not put that ear clef, I'm going to call it a clef. I don't know, I just don't know what it's called, medical term for it. You think being a sculptor, you should know that stuff. Well, I don't, so forgive me. Oh yeah. I see it's starting to look like an earlobe there. Just a matter of smoothing out. Gotta get your shape right. Shape's the most important thing with your ears. The shape, and then the rest is cakewalk. see that this area here looks a little too flimsy, not quite. Thick enough. Yeah, that ear is looking good. I got some more work to do. Not too much more though. Most of what I have to do now. I took too much out of there. Okay. No big deal. This is what's so nice about clay work is you can always just put it right back. Put it right back. See that? Wow. Isn't that magic? Isn't that lovely? All right. Gotta do this. Now, I'm looking at this pretty cool, but how do I want to achieve it? Okay. This is how I'm going to achieve it. I'm going to use this tool right here, if you can see the shape of that. I want to pull right in here a little chunk. Looks like that's in the actual original sculpture. But you still have this edge. And the funny thing is, this is not going to be the 78 now. The 78 doesn't have that little detail. So it gives it just a little extra something that, but this is actually, I'm sculpting from the original mask. The screen used Halloween 2 side shot is what I'm looking at to get this form, and I'm going to have to go a little deeper in that area, right in here. Now we're getting somewhere. I'm digging out the ear hole again. I'm just taking this little tool here and just digging in just a little. The cleft's going to half cover that, so you're not going to really get. And remember, your ear isn't straight in this way. Your ear is on an angle. You know, your ear hole is on an angle. And I like my ear holes pretty deep because when I go to, what's the right word? Yeah, when you're cutting out the ear hole from the backs, the inside of the mask, you don't want to have, you know, you don't want to have the, what's the right word? You want to be able to grab that piece of rubber, because usually I make thick casting mask. I don't use thin casted mask. I don't like thin casted masks. So with that being said, let me get back to work here. I'm just trying to take all these little imperfections out of here. And we're going to smooth this all out in a few minutes with some naphtha. We're a ways off yet. We're not done yet. We got stuff to do. All right, so I have to go in here. Oh, man. Oh, that's all right. I'll make it work. The last thing is the little ear cleft that goes in. That's the last thing you want to put on there when you're fixing. Even when you're making the ear from scratch, when you're starting the ear. What I usually do to start an ear is I'll make a worm of clay, and I'll start it here, and I'll worm it around to give it the shape, and I'll worm in a piece of clay here and here. There'll be a worm of clay here, a worm of clay here, a worm of clay here, because that's basically the shape of an ear. And you constantly pack it out. You pack it out, and then fill it in, fill it in, fill it in. And as you're putting these worms here, to fill it in, all you're doing is pushing that clay in together from the edges. And that's how you fill that in. So it's a pretty cool process, guys. It really is. Now I'm just softening these edges just a little bit with my fingers. I got some work to do here. It looks a little too, like, I don't know, just didn't look round enough. Yeah. Don't mind the no shirt. I just can't. I'm just not comfortable wearing a bunch of clothes when I'm trying to do my thing, so to speak. I'm sitting in my own home, relaxing, enjoying the peace and quiet. God, man, this is such a perfect thing to do for retirement. It really is. Takes your mind off of stuff. I'm just trying to get the shape right, guys. And smooth. I don't want it too rigid, too, a bunch of bad spots. I got to get up in here a little better. So cool. It really is. All right, I want to get into here and make it straighter. How do we want to do it? Well, I've definitely got to make sure that this is right. Underneath of here, this is going to be super smooth and look good. See, the more you touch this, the more softer and pliable it gets. It just works. It's called Monster Clay, and I get it from Monster Makers. It's good stuff. They actually have this in gray. I don't know. I'm so used to this color, though. I kind of didn't want to go the gray. I didn't want to use the gray. So what I did was I stuck with the tan or flesh color, or whatever you want to call it. Brown. For those who need to say it's brown, it's brown. Just try to smooth out the inside of the ear as best as possible. Before I put that little clef in there, but I also want to make sure that this is all right. Now this looks like it's really deformed in here, but you know something? If you feel the inside of your ear, nothing's perfect. There's all kinds of little weird shapes in there, you know, and that's why the ears I find are easier to do than anything else, because the more chaotic something is, the less perfect you have to be with your edging and stuff. So it's like, you know, it's a no-brainer, you know, it really is. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit because it's too high. As you can see, I'm smoothing out here because this is the face area. This is not supposed to look like that. Gotta be careful. I don't want to mess up my ear here. I just hit that edge a little bit. No, it's not coal. There's a little chunk of something in there that's making my blade get caught. See if I can pull it out. I'm going to bury that anyway. But as you can see, the ear's coming back to form already. It's a little too big, this tool here, to work in this little area here. So I might switch that out to something a little smaller, loopy-ish. All right, now this is probably the area that I want to just dig out a little bit more right in here. Only with a bigger loop, so it cuts into the, so it gives you more of an earlobe look, not just a carved in area. Gotta make it look like there's an earlobe there. All right. Now how you can tell is now you see a little shadow there. Sweet. See how this feels? Now what do I want to do there? Oh yeah. Now see the edge of this tool right here? Right in there. See how nice and that's nice and sharp edge? So I'm going to go into here. And use that to really straighten out this. You know, your tools are your best friend, man. Your tools are your You gotta utilize your shapes. Look at your tools real careful when you're doing stuff. Yeah, something don't feel right back there. All right. I'm almost done this year. I'm almost done this year, but not quite. Just want to make sure I have all the bumps out of it using a straight edge. Starting to look like something, huh? What do you think, guys? We're getting close? We getting close? I think we're getting close. Now we'll try and get in here and get this. Yeah, there's a chunk of something there. Wow, shoot. I don't want to hit that. Oh yeah. I like the way this looks better than the other here when I did this. Okay, so next thing I want to do is get up underneath of this. I always do this one piece at a time because, and yeah, this is tough because I don't have good lighting underneath of this. And the angle's terrible for me, so I'm going to have to taking quite a bit up from underneath this ear. Under the earlobe area, but no big deal. And then I'll fix the wall. Where'd that piece go? Gotta be careful. I don't want none of that concrete getting mixed in with my clean clay here. See, if you don't have definition underneath your ear, it just doesn't look right. Doesn't look right. Now I'm trying to smooth this out as much as I can with my fingers. And then I'm going to come back with the tool and really fix this. But I got to get better light on this subject. Yes, sir. Lighting is everything. All right, so I need the wider tool, which is this right here. tongues. So what I do is when I pull the clay off of here, I just push it right into my clay ball, and it cleans it rather nicely too. I'm going to have to put some other light in here to really see what I'm doing, because I don't want to cut into this sculpture too much and then end up having to add more clay on here. So alright, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put the ear clef on this thing. And just take a ball of clay and make it as round as you can. Alright, now I don't make it too big. I look at this area, right? Make it a little bit bigger than this. And you definitely want this fairly soft, so you want this to warm up in your hand a little bit. Yeah, that's good. And you want to make this a round ball. A round ball, kind of like that. All right, and you're going to center it. Look at that, right on the money. Now I'm going to push down on that, and I'm going to shape it at the same time so it goes into where it's supposed to. Get the general idea, guys? See, I knew I didn't care how smooth or how rough this got over here, because I was going to put this in here, and I was going to be able to smooth this out a little better with my hand, and that would be ideal for what I'm doing. And the reason you want to do this last too is because this part of the ear tucks in behind the ear clef, as I call it. I mean, there might be another term for it. You guys find the term for it, correct me. I don't know what to call it. I'm sure there's a scientific name for it, but we don't need it. I'm just trying to do what I do. I don't know how good that's showing up on camera, but I mean, it's not perfect yet, and it's fairly soft, so I can manipulate it. And I want to try and make a divot in here. I'm pulling it down where I was scraping over here, so this way there's not a lot of clay going upward. It's going down where I was pulling clay away from here around the bottom of this earlobe, and that allows me, my hands are rough. That's from working this clay so much. Calluses. And it's making I'm not smoothing it out. Like my left is not as rough. Now I can fix that. That ear looks good, baby. Oh yeah, I'm looking at it from here on the side. Oh yeah. Ooh. See something I don't like. Yeah, can't use that clay. Don't want that clay back in my mix here. Because there was some mortar mixed into it. This ear is almost done. Almost. I say almost. Believe it or not. The biggest problem I have right now is it's a little lumpy. When you're looking at it downwards this way. When I'm looking at it in this direction, I can see that it's a little lumpy in spots. So I'm going to bring it down so it's fairly even. And I'll reshape the ear just a little bit. Reshape the outer edges. That's looking good. Okay. That being said, I need to turn this down this way now. See how I flatten that out a little too much. You know, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little of this naphtha on my finger. Actually, you know what's better? I'll just put a little naphtha on the ear. Yeah, brush is almost doing the job. That's right, because I pre-wet this already. Yeah, see, that's already coming back into shape, guys. That's looking good. Yeah. Pretty much this is the tutorial on the fixing of the ear. What do you think, guys? You think you can tackle it yourself now? Now I want to fix in here just a little bit better because this tucks in just a little too perfectly. Here we go. It looks like it's cut out. I don't want a cut out look. Now remember, your ear hole is not a perfect circle like I dug out there. When it gets out to the outer edges, it kind of flares out. So you want to make sure that you flare this all out too, so it doesn't look like you're literally put a perfect circle into the side of your head, because that's not the reality of how your ear really looks. That's pretty much it, guys. That's looking like the real deal. I like this. I'm almost dead happy on the outcome. And now I'm going to brush it again with the naphtha and texture it. Okay, so let's do that process so you see what it is. I got my old handy dandy naphtha brush. I slosh that around in that can real good. I don't know if I'm in focus here, but I'd usually just stick it inside this and I just really wash it around. And if there's still like, look at that, it washed it almost completely off. Now I can just go in there and really soften up. Oh, you know, I think I have to go underneath of this yet. Yeah, I still got work to do on the back underneath of this ear to smooth that out real good. Get inside behind the eardrum. But you get the general idea, guys. Pretty simple to fix. What'd it take? I don't even know how long this video is. I just don't know because I get myself so wrapped up into this. Let's just say it's an hour. It's an hour to put me back to where I would need to be with my ear. Now if I want to texture it, I just take my handy dandy. I gotta clean this. This is definitely the one thing about these texturing sponges. They'll fill up with crumbs of clay. A little dyslexia there, forgive me. Crumbs of clay, and it's important to have the texture, because what happens is when you go to what do you call it? What's the right word? Now, when you go to paint this, you know, and shading and all that parts of the process of doing the ear with shading, like, you know, you want something that you got to have a texture in there so the paint has something to grab to. If it's too smooth, the paint ain't going to grab. I don't want these big crumbs though. I don't want big crumbs, and that's usually, whenever there's a big crumb stuck on the ear, it's usually because it came from on the sponge itself. So I'm going to soak this in naphtha to get rid of the crumbs. Now I need to work on the underneath portion of this ear. It's no big deal. I can almost feel this. I'm just trying to round it out is all I'm trying to do. And I definitely have to pull some of this away from here. But I gotta be careful not to leave too many marks. Because that clay's soft now, it's real soft, but that's the time you want to do it. So you can shape it nicely and not have rake marks. And always remember, when you're doing these rake jobs on this thing, you got to make sure that you go in all directions. This way you don't have rake marks going in one direction. As I'm smoothing this out, it's really coming together nice. But I gotta have something that's gonna I can almost feel the bulge right there. I want this fairly flush with the face. I don't want it sticking out here because that's not how your face really is. The only thing that sticks out on this earlobe is just about that much of that ear. Everything else blends into the face. And I can tell just by the way this is bulging out here, this is not correct. And you know, if I mess up the sideburn that's where the glue mark, where the hairline's supposed to be for the sideburn, I'll just fix it, that's all. Don't be scared. Pulled off quite a bit of clay there. Let me try this again. Clean piece that fell down here. Grab that. Well, I love it. And remember to throw all kinds of different lights. I will in a bit. I'm not nowhere near done this underneath this ear part. I got to make sure that that's really cleaned up nice, because if I don't get that right, and that means I'll lower the light. There's a light that's right behind the camera here, and I'll lower that light so I can get it up underneath, and then I'll take a little flashlight and I'll put it this angle, that angle. I change my angles on all the, just to make sure I don't see any shadowing. And believe me, all it takes is just a little bit of a lump or a little bit of a high spot, and it'll cast a shadow, and you don't want those shadows, trust me. So with that being said, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, this is starting to see. I can even see that little bit of shadow there just from the raking, you know. And that's what I'm trying to do. You turn it this way, that way, every way, which way. And you get those shadows out of there, and that's how you smooth out your surface. You definitely don't want the surface sticking up on you. Yeah, this all has to be worked on here. There's a lot that still has to be done to the top of the head after the ear's done. But you gotta understand, the top of the head, you're burying that with hair, unless you're gonna make an Uncle Fester mask, which that's up to you. You buy my mask, it's a Michael Myers mask. You want to turn him into Uncle Fester, that's on you. De-hairing it, so to speak. I don't want that on there. I don't want that in my clay either. The white fuzz was on there. So, yeah. So this is it. This is the tutorial on how to repair an ear. I knew that this was going to be at least an hour doing this ear anyway, so that's why I wanted to make it a separate tutorial, just so you guys know that this stuff is not easy to do. I mean, the more I do this, the better I'm getting, the more I can almost close my eyes and shape this ear without even, I don't even need the, I don't think I looked at that picture more than twice, because I knew exactly where, all I needed that picture for was the roundness, all right, the length, and where this was positioned, this little I don't know what you want to call that. And now that I've gotten a better look at this ear, a good picture of it, I've added this little bit of a little, you know, caved in just a little bit there. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but it's there. And now it's on my sculpture. It wasn't on the other sculpture. So now I'm just trying to shape everything so it's nice and round the way it's supposed to be. And I'm going to texture it once again and see where we're at. Especially in this area, I got to make sure that this is no lumps. I'm going to smooth this out real good. Yeah, I see a little bit of work that has to be done there. Okay. It's where the old clay met the new clay. That's what that was. Okay, that's soft. Now I'll brush that into play. Now you can't even see that line. I love it. You know what that is? That's a shadow. That ain't even the line. That's just a shadow. See, that's the thing. Shadows can throw you off. Be careful with the shadows. You know, just as much as you think you see something, and all of a sudden it changes the angle. See, I have multiple lights. I have different lights coming from different angles, and they can cast shadows. A shadow can come this way and a shadow can come that way and create this illusion of a shadow right there, and it's not really there. See what I'm seeing? I'll show you. This is so cool. You see that little line there? That little line, it almost looks like you can see new clay over top of the old clay. But what you're actually seeing is the shadow being cast from over there. Hold on. Yeah. You see it disappear? Watch that little line disappear as soon as I put my hand on this one. And what you're seeing is this area here is casting a shadow down across that. So once I put my hand across that, it disappears. Magic. So anyway, like I said, that's why you really want to make sure that you triple check your work. Constantly look, and double look, and triple look, and keep looking until you can't find anything else wrong. There's a little bit of a high spot right in here when it came up onto it's coming out nicely because the clay is real soft right now. Because of that naphtha. Naphtha is such a nice way to clean up your mask and making sure that the texture is where it needs to be. And got work to do yet, guys. I still got more work to do on this ear. I got to mesh definitely underneath the ear and behind the ear. I didn't really work on that. I didn't want to turn the sculpture around that far. I wanted you guys to see what I was doing here, just to get the generalization of shaping and making sure there's no real high spots or low spots and any spots, so to speak. Now I'm going to texture where I just put this naphtha. Not pushing too hard because I don't want too much texture either. You know, you don't want too much texture. You're just creating some texture so paint can grab on. Not too smooth. There it is, guys. That's it. That's a finished, fixed ear. And then we move on to the next, the other side, which I'm not going to film that. You can pretty much know. You know how that's done. So, peace. You guys have a great day.